What's up, guys? I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be dissecting my zine, the Toy Rotten Zine, 20 pages, jam-packed, full of customs, toy photography, kit bashes, props, all the cool shit that you would normally see on my social media, but here, jam-packed into a comic book size zine. Alright, so kicking it off, this has been something in the works. Basically something I've been wanting to do since I got hardcore into toy photography. But even way back when I was like a preteen, I was like super into Toy Fair magazine. I mean, I still am, but I was super into Toy Fair and Wizard. I mean, me and my best friend at the time, Fat Tony, we would take the city bus down to the mall and we'd spend like hours hanging out in like Walden Books or like B. Dalton's or whatever, reading Toy Fair, Wizard, manga, comics, just eating all that shit up, going to KB Toys. And we used to always kind of bounce the idea, hey man, we should make our own zine kind of dedicated to like toys and anime and manga and comics and all that shit we're into. We even tried to sketch out layouts like on Microsoft Paint, but I mean, I was a jelly brain back then. I mean, I still kind of am a jelly brain, but a lot of my jelly has solidified and now I know some shit. So here we are. So we got the Toy Rotten Zine, Toy Art and Plastic Alchemy by Punker Mike. I'm Punker Mike. So we got issue number one of many, definitely coming out with more of these. This was my first solo venture doing a zine. I've had my work published like in the Wizard zine, the cartoonist KFAB community zine, but this is the first time going solo. So I tried a bunch of different stuff, trial and error, and super fun project. Can't wait to do another one. So let's dive into this bad boy. And before I sent this off to the printers, I created my own like bootleg copy. So I just did black and white copy, just like at Kinko's or whatever. So I can see kind of like how the page layout works and everything. Because I strategically placed every page what I thought would make it flow good. But definitely a good idea to like actually have something tangible in your hand to mess around with before you send it off to the printer. Because once it goes to the printer, I mean, it's out of your hands, and once it comes in, it comes in. And you could see like I did some proofreading stuff, you know, misspelling stuff or missing stuff. So having something tangible in your hand is a little better than just looking at a computer screen. Because I did all this on Photoshop, in case you wanted to see the hard copy of the Toy Rotten Zine logo. So this is just microns on Bristol. So this is what the logo looked like originally. So the main picture for the cover is an homage to Ray Harryhausen. So there's that famous picture of him hunched over the table with the red background, posing up one of the skeletons from like Jason and the Argonauts. So I actually redid that like a 1-for-1 where I was like hunched over, posing like my Grim Reaper skeleton dude. But I kind of didn't like the idea of having like a big ass picture of me on the cover. I don't know, I thought that was maybe like a little cringy. So I was like, okay, let's do a role reversal. Let's make the figure big, the main focus, and then be like a little tiny figure size like Punker Mike. I got my knife and my boombox shield right here. But that picture, I ended up using it for my business card. So it's a cool picture, I just didn't really like the way it looked as the cover. And in case you're not familiar with this figure, it's a Storm Collectibles skeleton that I repainted and weathered. And then the cloak is from NECA Creepshow. I just dyed it black with black Rit dye. And the scythe is from NECA Scream figure, the Ghostface. And then this border right here is just a bunch of figures and props and toys and all kinds of cool Easter eggs. All kinds of stuff to like look close at and a bunch of cool shit to look at. All right, let's crack this bad boy open. So I got my intro page right here, and then the background for the intro page is just a bunch of fodder. So I dumped out a bunch of fodder from my bins. You know, I've been collecting and doing customs and kit bashes for a while, so I have so much fodder. So I kind of dumped it out and spread it around and kind of strategically placed stuff. So you have like a bunch of cool shit to look at. And then my contact info. And definitely if you're doing a project like this, highly recommend putting your contact info. Make it easy for people to find you so they can follow your work, reach out maybe for a collab, or you never know who's going to come across your zine and want to contact you. So definitely make it easy on them. So the first official page, we got my boy Gambit, the Modded Legends Gambit. So the first Hasbro Marvel Legends Gambit, super dope figure, decided to mod it up to make it an even doper figure. So I changed out the hair on him. You know, the original release, he had that like swoop to the side hair, all Gumby style. And so I kind of liked the one from Toy Biz a little better. So I did a little alchemy and I took the hair off the Toy Biz head, swapped it onto this guy, and this was the first release figure. So eventually, you know, Hasbro came out with the retro card figure. He had a little bit cooler hair, but this was the first release, so I swapped the hair on him. Also swapped the arms, because this one came with the plastic jacket with the jacketed arms. Swapped it out with some Brother Voodoo arms. That way he can be displayed and posed around without his jacket. And then he can wear the Toy Biz soft goods jacket, which is a super dope jacket, definitely holds up, fits the figure well. And then I kind of, you know, just list all the cool stuff with this figure that I made right here. And then some props that I made, and props from other toy lines and everything. Definitely one of my favorite kit bashers. Gambit's my dude, so super stoked to like hook him up and give him a sick look. Boom, we got the 2-page Mezco spread. And I think this figure right here, so this is the Lone Roach from Lone Roach and Grub. I think this might be my first Mezco figure. I could be wrong, but I want to say this was my first Mezco figure. So I got like a little panel shot right here. Lone Roach looking down. Boom! Just stomping this dude's head. So this is an articulated Icons Ninja. Stomping his head. Super dope figure. And then Vapor, another incredible figure. So I've been going pretty hard on Mezco like this past year. So I think since 3A is kind of done, they don't do 1/12 scale figures anymore. They're doing, it's like Underverse now. So 3A is really not a thing anymore. And the Underverse hasn't really done any 1/12 scale figures. So Mezco's kind of filling that void of like a high-end 1/12 scale soft goods collectible action figure. Plus they have the Rumble Society, which is like unique, cool looking characters that are easy to kit bash and mix and match parts that I can kind of create my own like narrative and my own stories. So that's something that I feel like I love, that gets me like so hyped to do like displays and animations and toy photography, all that shit. So we got Vapor right here. I got the Public Enemy shirt. So this is actually a 3A shirt that I just did a Public Enemy iron-on transfer. I got a little gold chain that I made out of some scrap jewelry. This paint roller prop is an old paintbrush, some felt that I painted, and like a little prop piece from like a Fortnite weapon. Swapped the jeans from a pink skull figure, and this paint bucket prop is like the orange RX pill bottle. So shout out to Steven Fernandez. He had showed that he was making these paint bucket props out of, you know, the RX pill bottles. So I was like, oh, that's freaking genius. So I was making some for Vapor. I'm like, super fun prop to make, looks super cool. So shout out to Steven. That shit came out sick. And then in the background, got some Mezco props, some Punker Mike props right here. Then we got my boy Vapor over here again. Another custom shirt, 3A shirt. This is a Sid Vicious iron-on transfer. And then I got a bunch of props. So this is like a prop dump, prop flex kind of shot that I kind of do a lot, or I might be known for. And I got a bunch of turtle props. Everything's basically kind of like turtle or nostalgic based. Half of this stuff I made, half of it's just like regular retail release stuff. So I got like the birthday hat, the cereal bowl with the cereal that I made, cereal box, Ninja Turtle ice cream, gummy snacks, some Surge soda, some VHS tapes, and then we got some like NECA pizza, some like old school like minifigs, and then this couch is one that I made from scratch. I have an action figure prop shop episode on that. You could check that out if you want to learn how to make the couch. I got this fabric from my boy Nick, so shout out to Mr. Nick. That fabric is freaking legit. And then this one is the pink skull. So I got my dude coming off the top rope, jumping off the trash can, hitting homeboy with the elbow drop. We got the ACBA cutout right here with the Boog Nice package. So this isn't photoshopped or anything. He's suspended in the air with like the wooden like kebab sticks, like the shish kebab sticks or whatever, like those skewers. So I have like 3 or 4 of those stabbed into this side of the dio, and they're just holding him up into this pose. So that way I didn't have to Photoshop anything out, and that's how the cutout is suspended as well, with one of those little wooden sticks. And this dio right here is made from Ogie's Dioramas. So we made this huge, like, cool Western style diorama, and I'm kind of just using it here as this kind of like this scrap yard where these dudes are just fucking around. And this photo right here, I think I won like a Mezco contest. No, it was ACBA Summer Shots. So this photo won me a Mezco figure. Boog and the ACBA crew sent me Alex DeLarge from Clockwork Orange, that Mezco figure, which is super dope. So I won that figure because of this photo. And I think I had got like an honorable mention or something in like one of the Mezco 1/12 day like contests or something like that. But this was definitely a fun setup. Came out as a cool shot. I did a couple different variants. So definitely this set, the Pink Skulls, super fun set. I've had so much fun doing like kit bashes and mixing and matching with like all the accessories that came with these figures and everything. Like I said, I've been super into like the Rumble Society stuff. I've been like basically all in on that. Missing a couple releases or passing on a couple releases, but definitely filling that 3A void for me. Turn the page, wash your hands. So boom, we got some Slam Dunk love. The Slam Dunk line by Dassin is so sick. Like the overall character selection and the quality of these figures is freaking sick. There's so many characters in this line. I mean, you have home and away jerseys, you got side characters. I got in pretty early. I had originally just picked up a couple figures like on a whim. They look super cool. I'm into basketball. They look like figures that I could like customize and kit bash. And I ended up just going deep on the line. I mean, I missed out on a couple figures that I didn't give a shit about, but for the most part, I mean, I have like the complete series. I mean, you get so much. You get detailed sneakers, soft goods, multiple hands, heads or face plates. You get like a basketball. Some of them come with other props and accessories. There was like a basketball hoop accessory. So there's like so much in this line and the quality is so sick. So highly recommend jumping on the Slam Dunk line. I mean, you could still backtrack and pick up a bunch of stuff. Pretty decent price, and they're still coming out with like different versions of characters and stuff like that. Like I think they're doing the school uniforms. They started releasing those. So definitely a line to check out. And so this is a panel shot. I think this was actually the first page I worked on when I finally committed into doing the zine. This was the first page I worked on. And panels are like one of my favorite kind of shots. It's, you know, just like a comic book, you're telling a story. You know, posting pictures online, sometimes you don't really get to see it fully. It was a little easier when I was posting on Facebook. I don't really post too much on Facebook anymore, mainly just like on Instagram. So panels are a little harder because, you know, you have to do it where you like swipe instead of like seeing it all like put out comic book style. But panels are like definitely like some of my favorite setups because you get to do multiple setups and tell a story. And this dial right here in the background is one that I made out of like dollhouse wood flooring that I had like stained and painted and then just like pink foam. And then you could see that basketball hoop that I was talking about that they came out with. But definitely recommend getting into this line. And we got some action figure prop shops. So if you've ever wanted to own Punker Mike prop, here you go. So I made it so you can just photocopy this, or I mean, you could take a picture if you want, if you don't have access to like a scanner, or you don't want to go to like the print shop and scan it. But I recommend printing it out on cardstock, some like thick paper. And then I have the step-by-steps and pictures that you could turn this into a little beer box. Well, this is a Punkweiser one. This is Punk's Blue Ribbon, but this is one that I kind of have assembled or whatever. So yeah, definitely cool little props. Similar to like the beer boxes that came out with Bob and Doug McKenzie from Strange Brew. So just cool little background props and the tools you'll need. And in case you don't know what this tool is right here, it's called a bone folder. If you're making any type of like paper props where you have to like fold something or like burnish, this tool right here is so sick. So I've been making paper props basically since I've been making props. Making comic books, newspaper, cardboard boxes, like Amazon boxes, beer boxes, trash boxes, cereal boxes, just anything like paper related and you need to like fold and get a good fold. Highly recommend looking into getting a bone folder, and they're pretty cheap, but it's like such a valuable tool. I was going so long without it. I was using like scissors or like a ruler, but that bone folder's sick. Come up. Shout out if you know who this guy is or you get like the reference why I put him like on the beer box page. Get style points and some street cred for that. Oh, another 2-page spread. So we got my boy Joker from Akira. Some little plastic Alchemy BTS. A little behind the scenes. How I turned these two figures, a WWE Elite Yokozuna and a Soda Street Fighter Balrog, into my boy Joker. Love that Joker. So this was definitely a fun project. I did so much like alchemy and mixing and matching and chopping up and total Frankenstein shit. I basically briefed the steps of how I did it. You know, I have a detailed video on my YouTube channel. Basically almost every page here you can find like on my YouTube channel more in depth. But you know, I heated Balrog up right here, disassembled him completely. Well, the pieces I needed. And I got a sharp razor blade and I cut his shoulder sockets off right here. So like where the ball shoulder would plug in and like swivel around. So I cut those off his torso and then I dremeled it down. So you have this big blocky piece right here. I dremeled it down so I could fit it into the Yokozuna upper torso, and I had to hollow out the inside of Yokozuna's torso. And then I put that in there, I glued it, I put sculpt around it, and then this is after I primed and painted it and everything, so it looks, you know, solid. It looks like it was supposed to be like that, but, you know, this is mixing and matching parts. And then the face was a fun one, so I used Yokozuna's head because I needed like a big, bulky, chubbier kind of head, but I wanted that mean mugging, like, Balrog face. So I cut out Yokozuna's face, and then I cut out Balrog's face off his head, and I basically filled the void. So I glued his face in Yokozuna's head, then I dremeled it down a bunch, and then I kept dremeling and sanding and dremeling and sanding and dremeling and sanding, and then filled the gaps, because, you know, there's a little bit of gaps, with sculpt. And then same thing, sanded, sanded, sanded. I'd have to prime it a couple times. That way it's one solid color and I could see any imperfections. I kept sanding it, sanding it, sanding it until it was basically smooth, and then I got to paint it. And then that was before I put the face paint on. And then, you know, eventually I did like the face paint and everything like that. Added the earrings, which was scrap jewelry. And I also did like soft goods, but they're not like removable soft goods. They're glued on soft goods. So the shirt was just like a stretchy piece of like Armor All type material. And then the pants is that same material from that couch. And the couch Vapor was chilling on. So shout out to Nick, getting hella use out of that fabric. So I had disassembled his legs completely. So these are Yokozuna's legs, Balrog's boots, but these are Yokozuna's legs and his like waist and everything. So I glued the fabric to like each individual piece. So like each little individual piece that assembles it, I glued fabric on it. So that way it has the illusion of soft goods, but you still retain all the articulation and everything. It looks kind of sketchy, and it's like super obscure. I've never really seen anybody do that before when I was trying it. But it came out cool. Like I said, it looks a little sketchy. Some spots are a little sloppy, but definitely looks pretty cool and definitely looks unique. And, you know, overall, I'm like really proud of this figure. It's probably one of my favorite customs. I even put that full on my business card too. And these guys in the background right here are 3A figures that I kind of just like bashed to make just some Clown Gang goons, some random goons. And then this background, this little Akira style background is something like I painted and made with some like clowns graffiti and stuff like that. So fatty shout out to the boys, the Pittsburgh Powerhouse, aka Ed Piskor, Jim Rugg from the Cartoonist KFAB YouTube channel. So this is a collage of a bunch of fan art that I've done for the channel, but it's also shouting out and showing love to the boys for constantly keeping me inspired and giving so much valuable information. So if you're not familiar, they have a YouTube channel dedicated to comics, and they're breaking kayfabe and showing process and behind the scenes and letting you know the tools and everything you need to create your own zines, create your own comics, and showing you that all this shit is accessible, and doing shoot interviews with cartoonists and comic book legends and dissecting any and every kind of comic. I mean, Wizard Magazine, DC, Marvel, Image, Outlaw, random shit that you've seen in the dollar bin your whole life, and now you have to run out and go find it because you didn't realize how badass that book actually was. Shout out to the kayfabe effect. But yeah, always inspiring, posting videos every day. If you're not familiar with the channel, check it out. If you're a fan of comics, check it out. There's something for everybody, and I literally just eat all this shit up. They definitely have something for everybody, and like I said, every episode I get valuable information. Even if it's a book I don't really care for or I'm not really into, still valuable information, so definitely check them out. So I got my Joker custom right here. He's got the short box of some kayfabe books in his hands, shouting out the marching order, read more comics. I got Kanetta right here sitting on his throne reading Red Room. We got some kayfabe related books. Foot kicked up on a short box. Again, the marching orders, read more comics. And then I got my Ed and my Jim WWF wrestler style figures that I custom made. And I actually did like an early 90s like spoof commercial showing off the figures, which was like really fun. I love doing that shit. And the Pittsburgh Powerhouse is the tag team name I came up for Ed and Jim for the commercial. And every letter in the Pittsburgh Powerhouse logo is like kayfabe related somehow. So that shit's pretty tight. That was like a fun little Easter egg that I did. I got the Hip Hop Family Tree Game Boy, so I basically just tagged up this Game Boy shell, made it look like you could play a Hip Hop Family Tree game. Keeping it Nintendo, I got the X-Men Grand Design. This ain't that shitty LJN game. This is Grand Design, baby. And then another toy photography shot. I got the cartoonist KFAB graffiti with Ed and Jim in the back, shouting the marching orders, read more comics, with my 3A Kanetta, reading Hip Hop Family Tree, bunch of KFAB related books on the ground. And of course, got my bootleg VHS copy of episode 1 of Cartoonist KFAB, where the boys are dissecting Wizard #1. And what's kind of cool too is that pre-kayfabe, Ed had put a call out. He's looking for Wizards, some early issues of Wizard. And so I sent him a bunch of Wizards in trade. And this Wizard #1 is actually my copy, so that shit's pretty tight. So shout out to the boys. Like I said, if you're not following the kayfabe channel, definitely tune into that shit. And then boom, got my boy Kanetta sitting on the throne. So this is my custom Kanetta figure. So the soft goods came from like this Chinese third-party seller. And he sold the Kanetta jacket with the pants, and he threw in like gloves, boots, and this head. So the glove, boots, and the head were like casted from like this smaller like static figure. And this kit was meant, I believe, to put like on a Damn Toys body. I actually ended up using a 3A body. So I painted up the head, and I decided not to use the boots and the gloves because they were on the smaller side. So I ended up using 3A gloves and 3A boots on the 3A body. And I had to modify like the neck and everything too to fit on the 3A body. But definitely a cool kit. The quality of like the pants and the jacket are pretty sick. And even though like the head was a cast and everything, I had to do, like I said, some modifications. I had to do some modifications on the eyes too because the pupils were like sculpted and they looked a little weird when I painted it. So I had to go back and Dremel them down and kind of smooth them out so I can paint the eyes properly. In the background is just like random scraps. Like this bike right here is like Blade, the Toy Biz Blade motorcycle, like Legendary Rider's Blade. Got a Dollar Tree slime barrel, and all this stuff is just like random tech from like accessories, model kits. There's so much like little tech pieces, and I had painted and weathered like each individual little piece. It took a crazy amount of time to like put everything together because it was like this big intricate puzzle basically. And then the background, this is all just pink foam. And then his throne was just scratch made from like balsa wood, scrap fabric, and maybe some like styrene, I think. This is definitely one of my favorite pieces. It looks super cool on my shelf. Super cool to have like a legit looking Kanetta custom. And definitely got to make Tetsuo as well. So Tetsuo is next on my list, so that'll be a fun figure when I get around to him. Boom, we got some Marvel Legends love. Toy Fair little homage right here. So this is paying homage to the Twisted Toy Fair Theater volume, I think 4 cover. Like I said, I'm still like so obsessed with Toy Fair. I still like pick up issues that I don't have, and I still read back issues. I still read the Twisted Toy Fair Theater like books and everything. I'm like so obsessed with Toy Fair still. That's such a huge impact on me when I was younger that I still just like enjoy the fuck out of it. So anyway, I got the Marvel Legends Pizza Spidey with the Marvel Legends Doc Ock that I modified and like repainted. So I basically gave him like metal bendy tentacles with articulated claws. And then Spider-Man's like, what are you a doctor of exactly? And then Doc Ock's all gravy. And I have a bunch of different food props just like scattered around. And then in his claws and everything. So another Marvel Legends little homage. Little nostalgic setup right here. Paying homage to one of the best arcade games ever. The 6-player X-Men. You know, Marvel Legends gave us the team finally. So we finished up that team. So I set them up next to all the cabinets. Got the 6-player bad boy right here. And I don't think I have any of these arcade cabinets left. So I got a bunch of cabinets in the background. I got Street Fighter, Simpsons. You know, I still have this Ninja Turtle ones right here. This Ninja Turtle one right here. But this one, I know this one, the 6-player one went out to Adam Van playing with myself. So shout out to Adam. But yeah, definitely a fun setup. Super stoked to have these guys displayed, even if I don't have the cabinet anymore. So a little bit more Marvel Legends love. We got Toy Biz Sentinel creeping in on my custom kit bash cable. So this cable was kit bashed and customized using the Marvel Select cable, one of the first Hasbro Marvel Legends cables, and some parts from the Toy Biz cable as well. So he's got a bunch of different cables to make like this gnarly, like cabled out cable. And I remember when I first did it, there was like a bunch of buzz. Everybody like loved the kit bash that I put together. So that was super cool. So basically almost identical shots right here. This is more of a cool, dark nighttime shot. And this one's more of like a warm, a little bit more light shot. So in the background here, I have a black towel, so that way it's not bouncing any light. It's just infinite dark with a little bit of light in front of the Toy Biz Sentinel, creeping in on Cable right here, and I got a little bit of light shining on Cable. And then this one, I got warmer lights, and then the background is like a yellow or an orange poster board with hot lights blasted on it. The Sentinel's a little more out of focus, and then Cable, you know, just a slightly different pose. So this is like one of my favorite setups, and I'm using my dilapidated diorama that I made. I use this thing like all the freaking time. And shout out to Boog and ACBA. They actually, like back in the day, had printed the darker shot right here on this mouse pad, and I still use this mouse pad on my computer. So it's pretty cool. I think they were just trying a bunch of stuff out with like toy photos to see like what works and what looks cool, and they had sent me this, so that's pretty rad. Still got that. So 3A has to be like one of my favorite all-time action figure lines. I remember first seeing like 3A figures at this comic book shop I used to go to all the time in Ventura called Hypno Comics. It's not there anymore. But I remember they had like the big box of the Adventure Cartel Action Portable line. And I remember being so obsessed, like, dude, these figures look so crazy cool. I remember I was a little cheesed because, like, man, they're so much more expensive than like Legends and other domestic figures, and you don't get extra heads or accessories or hands. But something about like the unique character design, Ashley Wood's character design, and the soft goods, I was like, I have to get in on this line. So I was slowly picking up figures, and then at one point I was picking up a bunch because I was finding good deals just like through Facebook or just like random sellers, and I ended up with a really sick 3A collection, and I have so much fun when I whip these guys out and, you know, kit bash and mix and match parts and repaint or cast this and modify this. Such like a fun line for like kit bashing and customizing. So this big picture right here, I got my Ronin Queenie, my Ronin TK. I did some modifications with this Queenie. She's supposed to have 2 little piggy tails. She's just got the 1 little bun in the back. And then her shoes are from like a bootleg Figma Bruce Lee, I think. And then the soft goods right here, the shirt she came with, but the bottom part right here, and then his like samurai getup is some early like CJ soft goods. So back in the day, CJ started doing soft goods. He was doing like ninja and like samurai get-ups. And I remember picked up a bunch of stuff from him early on. So they look super cool on these figures. So I swapped his head on this JC figure because he's got like the tattoos. And I actually added these bandages. So I added the bandages on his hands and his forearms and then his shins and his feet. And the feet are actually from Golem from Lord of the Rings. So at the time, I didn't have any barefoot characters, and that was the only barefoot dude I had. The feet look crazy, but with the wraps on them, it doesn't look too crazy, at least from this angle. But yeah, these figures are super fun. This is like one of my favorite kit bashes, and they're displayed on a Chris Gupton diorama. So I have like this cool Chris Gupton diorama that I use a lot. Has a really cool base and then like a really detailed rooftop. So I get a lot of use out of this one. So this one right here might be my favorite toy photography shot. So I got Bleak Mission sitting on the bootleg Morpheus chair. So I had found like this Chinese seller that was selling this rotocasted bootleg Matrix Morpheus chair. It's a little bit smaller, different color deco, and it's rotocasted, so it's not like a hard solid piece like the other one. And it fits the 3A figures perfect because it's a little bit smaller. So he's sitting on there chilling. He's got the revolver in his hand. He's got the beer, watching TV. And this is like an early prop that I made like a long time ago. Probably like one of the first balsa wood props I made. And so I just have a light in it. So it's blasting on him. In my dilapidated dial that I get a shitload of use out of. You know, it's bullet casings on the ground. He's just chilling. His mind's playing tricks on him. I love this shot. And then I got the Zomkins. So this is the original Zomkin head right here. I actually casted it. And then on the cast, I resculpted the eyes. So he's got like the angry eyes. He's kind of got like the chill, sleepy eyes. And then they all have various weapons. So this dude's got a beer with the baseball bat. And this is a baseball bat prop that I made. Got the spray can and the hammer. And this fool's got the cleaver and then the other kitchen knife. Causing some mischief. Halloween probably fell on a weekend. Him and his boys are just trick-or-treating. Oh, I got some more 3A love. So I got the Punk's Not Dead drum set. So these guys are just having some little band practice, a little show. I got some zombies in the background, some zombies just rocking out. I got my boy Tommy with the leather jacket with the ACBA shirt on. Homeboy ripping on the drums. Got the Punk's Not Dead on the drums. Got this dude ripping. Again, that dilapidated dial. One of the fun things on this one is that on the instruments, on this guitar and then this guitar, pretending that it's a bass, I actually drilled a small hole and I put plastic bendy, like the little bendy ties that come with the action figures. I had some black ones and I made those to look like the chords. So that was like a fun little detail that I did. So this is a dope little setup. And then the props, like these are from like Kiss, like the McFarlane Kiss figures. So like all the amps and everything, and then the drum set. And then Blind Cowboy, he might be my favorite 3A figure. Just because he's like so unique and like you don't really see like cool looking cowboy figures. And this guy just has like a crazy unique design to him. I have a lot of fun messing around and doing shots and setups with him. So this dude's all hot days, means pistols in the shade, just chilling. He's chilling like on his bedroll. He's got the gun in his hand just in case shit jumps off. Got the cool creepy tree. This creepy tree I actually found like at a thrift store. It was black and it's all bendy. So it's just like a bunch of bendy wires that they had like spray painted some type of like Plastidip or Reiner liner on or something. And then I had just painted over that a bunch. But it's like a cool little bendy creepy tree. And then the background's just like rocks and like these cactus that I have like really far off in the distance. And then this is like a Maisto bike, like a 1/12 Maisto bike that I had taken apart and repainted. I was like on a gnarly kick of just like painting vehicles and like motorcycles and stuff for a while. Those are like super fun to like disassemble, paint, and then reassemble in weather. And then I got my boy Blind Cowboy again. And then we got another part of the Ogi diorama that I showed earlier. So this is the other side to it. So we got dude sitting on the well. And this was a Sam Slade figure from 3A that I kind of customized as like Blind Cowboy's like gunslinger sidekick. And then he's about to give like this little piece of bread, this little biscuit to this like skinny little scrappy dog. So I'm definitely a fiend for kit bashing, like digging through my bins and looking for stuff to like mix and match and buying figures specifically for parts to mix with this figure. That's basically what I did with this Marvel Legends Stepford Cuckoo. And I kind of just made her like a Go-Go Yubari type character. So I just like did some repaint on the skirt and like on the tie, repainted her face. And then the Sakis are actually from a Star Wars Black Series Princess Leia, because the stock one is just like painted. It's like different colored plastic. And then she's just got like some bogus shoes. And then the sneakers are from a Slam Dunk figure, the Ayako character. That way, you know, there's a little bit more depth because the socks are like a little bit more detail and they have some wrinkles in it. And then the shoes are like really good detailed. And then this dio right here is like this really big diorama that I had found like at the thrift store or like at an estate sale or something. And it was like prefabricated. The people like barely put it together and then never did anything. So I had to do a bunch of modifications. I repainted it. I made a base and like the staircase around it and everything. Super cool, and it was a super fun project. It's just so huge. It literally takes up like my whole desk or like half my desk. But it's definitely fun to get shots on it and stuff. And it was definitely like a fun build because like someone went halfway and I got to like finish the other half. So that was pretty cool. And this is Homeboy right here sitting down so you can see those big old patas right here. And it's like she snatched that dude's head. And this is, I believe, from like a McFarlane Onimusha figure that I had from back in those KB Toys days. Oh, we're getting close to the end. So we got my boy Pukey Bear. Pukey Bear's perving a dish. You sick bastard. So Pukey Bear's a character that I've had since like high school. I have like sketchbooks full of like strips and like little ideas and just like doodles and stuff of this dude. And even like right out of high school, I took a animation course at the local community college. And it was like totally old school where you had to like hand draw the pages. And then once you had like your hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages, you had to take it to like the camera. So basically a setup like this where the camera's like up, put your piece of paper down, take a picture, take it off, put another piece of paper down, take a picture. And then you couldn't edit in like loops or holds. You had to do it all manually. So putting the piece of paper down and taking a picture. And I still haven't posted it. I have like all the files on my computer. I have to like mess with them and tweak them and add like sound to them, or I don't know, I have to update it, but definitely I'll post that. But definitely more stuff coming from Pukey Bear. So when putting this zine together, I definitely wanted to do like a comic book page. And so I have basically like this story, how it plays out, where he's perving a dish. Chick punches him in the face, whips out the katana. He's like, oh shit. Slice him up to bits. And then he's like, Oh man, I'm in love. So I basically had this strip in a couple different forms that I've sketched out multiple times, and I kind of just sat down and did like an actual comic book page. So I don't really draw as much as I used to, but I do love drawing. So, you know, this is just simple microns on Bristol, and I kind of have just the page. And I've made a couple mistakes that I didn't really feel like pointing out throughout, but the big mistake that I will mention is I had the dimensions wrong. So look at all this gap on the top of the bottom. So originally, like these spikes right here, I had drawn them knowing that they would probably get cut off or they'd bleed off to the end of the page. But, you know, looking at it through the computer, it was just like a total oversight. Even though I have like my bootleg one right here, since the dimensions are different, it was just like a total oversight. I was mainly looking for, with this bootleg, I was mainly looking for typos and to make sure like the pages, you know, went kind of cohesively together. So, you know, I have like the Akira page mixed with like KFAB and more Akira. Legends go with Legends. 3A goes with 3A kind of thing, you know? So I made a handful of other mistakes that I'm not going to point out, but this is one that I'm like, oh, every time I look at it, it bumps me out. But, you know, definitely learning curve. Definitely wanted to try a bunch of stuff, and definitely going to have more comic book pages in every zine that I do, whether it be Pukey Bear or some other stuff that I have like sketched out or whatever. And then now you can own a sick-ass Punker Mike custom figure. Well, kinda. So I got my Casey Jones right here, little paper doll action. So if you ever wanted to own a custom Punker Mike action figure, boom, here you go. Photocopy this, preferably print it out on cardstock or some thick kind of paper. Cut it out. Shweety schwa, you got yourself a sick-ass Casey Jones. And this is the Casey Jones that's inspired from the Kevin Eastman and Rick Veitch comic book, North by Down East, where he's all armored out. So he's got like all the pads and he looks all badass. So this was a figure that I had a lot of fun making because he was on my customs hit list for like the longest time. Basically ever since I seen that comic, or I think even before I even owned, because I think it's just 2 issues. Before I even owned those 2 issues, I had seen an ad in another like Mirage or Turtle book for North by Down East. And I'm like, dude, that Casey Jones looks incredibly sick. Like, I need to own that comic and I need to make that figure. And these are just like a bunch of McFarlane sports picks. I think that's a piece from like Death's Head 2 on Marvel Legends. I think these are original Casey Jones, McFarlane sports picks. The sneakers are from a Das and Slam Dunk figure. Got Wayne Gretzky's hockey gloves. Some WWF Bone Cruncher, probably from the Legion of Doom, like Bone Crunchers, and then the original head that I resculpted the hair. I made him like spikier hair. Got the original bag from the Playmates line, and then some McFarlane. Actually, this is NECA. These are both McFarlane. And then also gave a little fatty shout out to Glenn Webb. All you got to do is whip out old Mr. Snippety Snip and cut this bad boy out. Glenn Webb was a huge inspiration to me. Him and Craig Warwick. When I was first getting onto YouTube and seeing how other people are like customizing and making stuff, they had so much valuable information and insight. So always give love to Glenn Webb and Craig Warwick for sure. And that's it. I hope this zine and this video inspired you. So subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out some of my other videos on dioramas or Marvel Legends mods, DIY props, custom figures, animations, behind the scenes, plastic alchemy. So check out some other videos. You can follow me on Instagram. My handle is punker_Mike. And we'll see you next time. Bonus! So I show you guys some of the stickers I drew up that I was passing out with my zines. So I got my Skankin' Punker Mikey. Got my ACAB sticker. Got the Read More Comics Joker sticker. Got another Punker Mikey. Got my Casey Jones has a Jose Canseco bat. So for the Casey Jones sticker, I actually drew the background on Bristol, and then the actual Casey Jones is a picture. It's like the NECA movie Casey Jones that I took a picture, and then I kind of just rendered it down to make it kind of look like a stencil. For the Punker Mikey, this was the sketch I did originally, so it's just like a blue line sketch. and then I redrew it and I inked it, and then I colored it on Photoshop.